Hi, my name is Belinda Mensah, and I'll be presenting my graduate research on a robust performance appraisal system designed for Deloitte, a multinational company with presence in over 150 countries. The country of focus for this graduate research will be Ghana. This project is for MGT 6430 Performance Management for Dr. Sanchez. The agenda for this graduate research will be introduction, hypothesis, company and software overview, country overview, research methodology, Hofstede's country comparison, performance management system outline, literature reviews, research limitations, 21st century implications, some recommendations, conclusion of the research, and references. Introduction. The purpose of this project is to design a performance management system for an SAP solution architect in Deloitte, Ghana. This graduate research students will be using a hybrid performance system which incorporates the use of goal setting, continuous assessment, coupled with a yearly assessment. The aim of this hybrid solution is to promote a culture of growth, development, transparency, and trust across the organization. Now to the hypothesis. The hypothesis of this graduate research project is to design a performance appraisal system for an SAP SuccessFactors solution architect in Deloitte, a multinational company with operations in Ghana and 150 additional countries. Deloitte is a multinational professional services company founded in 1845, which makes it 179 years old as of 2024. It falls within the top 4 accounting firms worldwide. The company provides audit, risk, and financial advisory, tax, legal services, as well as software consulting and implementation. Deloitte's global headquarters is in London, England, and has extended to over 150 countries, including Ghana in West Africa and the United States. As of 2023, Deloitte had an employee base of 457,000 and a revenue of $64.9 billion. Over 40% of Deloitte's revenue comes from consulting, which is inclusive of services such as analytics and acquisitions, core business operations, enterprise technology, and human capital. The firm implements HR systems such as SAP SuccessFactors, Workday, Salesforce, Oracle, etc. SuccessFactors is a cloud-based system that provides HR solutions by providing a one-stop shop for employee lifecycle operations such as hiring, onboarding, learning, payroll, personal and organizational data maintenance, career development planning, succession and analytics. SAP SuccessFactors is the largest cloud-based software with usage in over 200 countries, more than 120 million users spread across over 7,000 clients. Now to the overview of Ghana and its work culture. Ghana is the country in West Africa with a population size of 32,823,000. Due to its natural resources, peaceful elections, and being the first African country in South Sahara to gain independence from the British, it is considered as one of the leading African countries, which attracts international trade and a significant number of tourists. The work culture of Ghanaian employees is characterized by utmost respect for authority and a sense of community, as well as the nurturing of interpersonal relationships. Ghanaians adhere to and do not necessarily question fundamental traditions and standards. Research methodology. The methodology will be based on two peer-reviewed journals, which seeks to evaluate the success of performance systems in both financially difficult times and also as a determinant of company growth and maturity. The first study this research student will be using is the 2018 article, Strategic Performance Management System in Uncertain Business Environment, an empirical study of the Indian oil industry. The second study that this graduate research student will be using is the 2019 scholarly journal, Explaining Success of Performance Management System, the role of chain of key factors. This chart shows the hosted cultural comparison between Ghana and United Kingdom. In terms of power distance, this dimension stipulates that individuals are unequal and sheds more light on cultural attitudes towards inequalities amongst individuals. In a work setting, this is when subordinates or the organization's less powerful employees expect, understand, and accept that the distribution of power is unequal. Ghana scores high on power distance at 80, as opposed to the United Kingdom, which scores a low of 35. Ghanaians culturally believe that there are hierarchies even in the family setting, and due respect and recognition has to be given to the hierarchies. This is transferred to the work setting where employees accept and give utmost respect to the defined order of hierarchies with the thought process that everyone has a place in the order. In this type of setting, power centralization is more popular and accepted. Direct reports expect to be told what to do, and inequalities is prevalent and accepted. In the United Kingdom, however, it promotes a culture on doing away with inequalities, which is why it sits in a lower 35. The general promotion of fair play encourages treatment of people as equals regardless of where they are in life. In terms of individualism, Ghana has a low score of 9 because the culture prioritizes collectivism over individualism. In this culture, loyalty takes precedence over rules. Employees are very careful in their choices, as making the wrong choice will lead to falling out with the group, which is something they will want to avoid at all costs. Employees also value the interpersonal relationships that they build at work, so much so that they feel responsible for each other. For this type of culture, setting group goals and clearly defining how the employee can or should contribute to the attainment of the goal is preferred. For United Kingdom, however, it sits at a high score of 78, indicating that it is culturally individualistic. Employees in this type of cultural setting are encouraged to think for themselves, be able to work with no or minimal assistance and supervision, and to take ownership for their own individual contribution towards goal attainment. Motivation towards achievement and success. Ghana scores a 40 on this because employees tend to be more agreeable in the Ghanaian work culture. What this means from a management perspective is that they appreciate and value the support of their managers and prefer to be involved in the decision making process so that they feel like they're part of the solution. From a performance management system perspective, explaining the goals to them with clear expectations and feedback in the form of guidance and support is preferred. Employees in this type of culture focus on their well-being, hence incentives in the form of time off and schedule flexibility is much more preferred. United Kingdom is at 66 on this dimension because employees are highly driven and success oriented in this culture. Their lives mostly revolve around work and ambition to outperform their peers. In terms of uncertainty avoidance, Ghana scored a 65 because of its risk averse culture. Doing things completely outside the box is uncomfortable since preference is always to stick with what has already worked in the past, even if what was done in the past doesn't sustain the present anymore. Employees prefer set rules and regulations, believing in earning their pay by working hard, are prompt to work because that is what is expected, and also appreciate job security. They prefer to stay in one company for a long time since they're content with what they have. In the United Kingdom, the dimension for this was a low of 35. Employees in this type of culture are comfortable deviating from the drafted plan and not afraid to change plans and setups in order to accommodate new development and tweaks. The preference here is for non-stringent planning, which allows flexibility to make changes as additional information emerges. This risk-tolerant culture allows for innovation and creativity. In terms of long-term orientation, Ghana has a low of 1 because the culture is that of sticking with what is considered as normal or standard behavior. They religiously stick to traditional beliefs in terms of what is right versus wrong and prefer initiatives that leads to quick results. United Kingdom scores a 60 on this dimension because they're very realistic and practical. A situation where which is right today could very much be wrong depending on the context tomorrow. Employees in this culture are comfortable breaking away from set norms and also believe in planning and saving for the future. On the indulgence dimension, Ghana scored a high of 72 because they're spontaneous, fun loving, and living for today. They typically look at life from a brighter lens and are generally optimistic. They usually live for the now, spending majority of their earnings as fast as they earn it. In United Kingdom, however, they scored 69 on this dimension because they're pretty close to Ghana and they're very similar on this dimension. Employees here are also very optimistic and spontaneous with inclination towards spending their money as they earn it. The performance system that this graduate research student outlined for Deloitte Ghana is as follows. The system that I will be putting in place will follow an around the year continuous evaluation approach as opposed to a definitive end of year approach. Each organization has its mission and thereby set goals for each year to help contribute positively towards the mission and vision. Deloitte's mission is to accelerate equity, sustainability, and shared prosperity. This performance management system will be categorized into 4 phases. The planning phase. During this phase, managers will meet and discuss cascaded as well as teams goals with employees. The employee will then ask questions to ensure that there is alignment in the understanding of the goal. The manager will clearly communicate what qualifies as an achievement of the goal and vice versa. Since the power distance in Ghana is very high, employees will prefer that the goals are cascaded down from the manager and will rather find being asked to set their own goals as a daunting task. Employees will, however, be encouraged to set personal developmental goal with manager input and guidance, on which strengths or weaknesses to work on in order to arrive at a realistic and more attainable goal. The second phase is act or do phase. In this phase, the employee will have to start taking steps to achieve the objectives that were defined in the planning phase. This can be done by working towards the specific goals, while carrying out their work role. Employees will also use this phase to work on any personal or developmental goals, such as additional module certifications and success factors, because success factors has over 10 modules, and flexibility to be able to switch between modules makes the employee an indispensable tool during multi-million dollar implementations. The next phase is mentoring and feedback phase. In this stage, the employee's efforts and progress will be observed, with manager providing regular inputs on what was done well and what could have been done differently. Prompt continuous feedback will go a long way to help employees adjust quickly or feel motivated for impending tasks. During this phase, manager will occasionally meet with employees to work through any hurdles and guidance on path forward. In this phase, mentoring and coaching will be leveraged either with the employee's direct manager, a senior architect, or alternate client solution architect, as long as they are more senior, since the Ghanaian culture gives credence to hierarchy. In the review phase, multi-steps will be leveraged in this stage. The mid-year and end-of-year review phase will start with the employee self-assessment step. In this step, the employee will list out all of the achievements against their set goals. They will also be able to give a corresponding rating to match their achievement. After the assessment, the following step will be the manager assessment step. In this step, the manager will review the employee's achievement and will also put in their comments as to how they think the employee performed. Their rating will be the rating of record, and they will be supporting the rating with any documented evidence. The form will then be sent to the calibration step, where leadership such as HR directors will review the ratings to make sure that there is fair distribution, since the intent is to foster a culture of trust and transparency. Managers will then meet with the employee to discuss the ratings and any corresponding monetary and non-monetary values, including gap identification and closure, career path definition, etc. Although Ghana is high on power distance, Deloitte's multinational nature ensures flexibility to tools that are utilized globally, regardless of the country's work culture. Their low-risk nature makes it easy for multinational companies to infiltrate and institutionalize global cultures as opposed to country-specific ones. Now to the literature review. This article describes performance management as the process, measures, and methods used to gauge performance in an organization. The article indicated that performance management systems in earlier times were based on financial and productivity metrics. The last 5 years or so, however, has been more strategic, honing in more on overall efficiency in addition to innovation and employee satisfaction. The main aim of the article is to discuss strategic performance management, which is the process of managing overall company performance while incorporating the processes, the methods, metrics, and systems used to measure employee performance. There has been the need, as per the article, for the study due to the proposal that performance management should not necessarily only measure employee performance, but should also measure customer satisfaction, productivity, employee satisfaction, company culture and reputation, as well as how well the operations aligns with overall company strategies. The population sampled were Indian oil managers in both private and public oil industries, and the methodology used was a survey and questionnaire. A total of 107 questions were distributed to 500 managers across 15 oil companies. The hypothesis for this article for this study, was broken down into the effect on micro versus macro values on strategic performance management. In micro variables, emphasis is placed on the organization's mission and vision clarity, operational goal alignment, and allocation of resources. It was identified that the following impact strategic performance management. One is the clarity of the organizational vision and mission impacts strategic performance management. Strategic goal setting fosters clear goal monitoring. Also, internal design, implementation, and use of strategic performance management provides learning and growth opportunities. Additionally, the allocation of resources impacts performance achievement, while lastly, top management support influences strategic performance management outcomes. In terms of strategic performance management implementation, the below was suggested. Strategic performance management systems should not be designed as a standalone tool, but rather as an integrated system. An effective implementation strategy and management support goes a long way to make it successful. Thirdly, strategic performance management, instead of being considered as a punitive activity, should rather be viewed as an improvement tool, and the result of it should rather be used as quality feedback that feeds into the organizational strategies for continuous performance improvement. Lastly, strategic performance management should be a model identified to be used to identify training requirements and internal business gaps in order to add capabilities and capacities to promote efficiency, optimize cost, and also design appropriate incentive initiatives. In conclusion, the study recommends comprehensive and integrated strategic performance management to manage and measure organizational performance effectively. Now to the second literature review. The focus of this article is to measure the success of performance management systems and corporate performance through the use of key factors. The researchers define performance management system as the process of being able to measure and improve the efficiency of an organization. The ultimate aim of performance is to foster improvement both for the organization as a whole and the employees. The lack of it can lead to impairment and stunted growth. As per the article, about 70% of performance management processes fail. The variables that were evaluated were environmental uncertainties such as globalization, competition, economic risk, quality expectations in goods and services, digitalization and information flow, market fluctuation, etc. The study proposed that there is a high correlation between environmental uncertainty and performance management systems. Also, the higher the competition, the lower it is to increase performance. This, they indicated, is because the organization will start investing in both financial and non-financial activities to stay competitive, but will end up not getting much of the financial gain. This is because the organization will start investing, and the hypothesis of the study also stipulated that competition leads to high stress and unplanned risk, whereas improvement in performance leads to organizational performance. The study indicated that performance management systems provides insights into how to manage a company's past and future activities, financial, non-financial, including internal and external measures, as high performance increases a company's financial gains. Performance improvement's effect on performance was measured on 3 levels, which are the attainment of strategic goals, the company's performance as compared to competitor, and profitability. The methodology used was 1,191 questionnaires sent to Estonian and Finnish managers, out of which only 106 were returned. In conclusion, the research found that performance improvement has direct correlation with the achievement of strategic goals of the organization. The study limitations for research one was that getting data was quite cumbersome, as those in the oil industry were unwilling to share. Also, private oil company managers did not want to respond, which then minimized the population and restricted the findings. The research unfortunately cannot be generalized to other countries since it was specifically carried out in India. Lastly, the study did not cover additional stakeholders such as the petroleum and natural gas industry, regulatory bodies, manufacturers, service providers, and vendors. For the second study, the limitation is that out of the majority of the people that the questionnaires was sent to, only 106 were returned. This then limits the possibility of generalizing these findings to other countries. In terms of 21st century implications, in this era of technology especially, the performance management systems can be streamlined and well managed without compromising on quality. The 21st century implications is to promote the implementation of HR softwares such as SuccessFactors, which helps to standardize processes regardless of location so that employees will be fluid in fitting in regardless of which host or home country they find themselves working from. Cultural infiltration and the standardization of processes helps to promote a culture of equality and trust. These HR systems based on an employee's performance ratings uses machine learning, which is similar to AI, to recommend additional skills and competencies, suggest future roles, helps to start discussions and mapping out of career paths, connect employees to potential mentors, and helps managers to identify opportunities for coaching. This helps to put the focus of performance management more towards the long-term growth of the employee and the organization as a whole, instead of the restrictive view of only using performance management for monetary rewards. My recommendations will be to train managers so that they have the needed tools to be able to evaluate and appraise the employee with evidence-driven feedback. This will help to foster trust and transparency in the process while helping to mitigate some of the known biases that is associated with performance management process. Another recommendation will be to incorporate continuous feedback in the performance appraisals process instead of waiting until the end of year to provide feedback. There will be the need for the feedback to serve as a guidance and coaching for the employee to be able to have the needed tools to accomplish the efforts needed to meet the goals, to help them to course correct, provide training, and act as a source of motivation for the employee to know that they are at least on the right path. The continuous feedback process will also incorporate a quarterly check-in to gauge milestones, and to make alterations as needed. A very important recommendation will be to set SMART goals. Discuss the goals with the employee to ensure that the employee has a voice in the goal setting while communicating expectations clearly and answering any questions that employee might have. Lastly, I will recommend that organizations do not wait till end of year to give monetary rewards. Rewards can be in the form of thank you notes, recognition, acknowledgement, etc. throughout the year. An employee who feels appreciated will be loyal and steadfast in achieving the set goals to the betterment and growth of the company. In conclusion, performance management systems should not necessarily be only geared towards monetary rewards and end of year evaluations, but rather be designed with the growth of the employee in mind, since the growth of the employee ultimately equates to the growth of the organization as a whole. These are the references used for this research project. Thank you.